Welcome to another episode of Ask Melly. This week we're going to be looking at duty or love and how to break out of those cycles of self-sacrifice. Now, I want to talk about this one today because it's something that I'm seeing in a lot of women right now. And there seems to be a lot of energy trying to help us move past this to really end these cycles of self-sacrifice, so we can live our lives in the flow of love rather than getting stuck in duty. Now, the problem with this is that it's all up to us. Well, it's not a problem, it's a blessing, really, because it is up to us. It's this, when we can see it for ourselves, we realize just how much we are disempowering ourselves. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to this concept of duty or love, it is internal. It all comes from us. It's our choices. It's our responsibility to make a difference to ourselves, which means the control to fix it lies with you as well. So what we're really going to look at is how to stop disempowering yourself by choosing duty over love. And here's the thing, the thought processes behind it, we're actually looking at responsibility, because as women, we have this inherent responsibility, this inherent belief that runs so deep within us that we are responsible for others. Yes, we are responsible for children to a point. We are responsible for our homes, but that's our choice. We are responsible for partners because it's our choice. So really, when it comes to duty or love, it's about unraveling what you actually have responsibility for versus what you do because you love it. So this is where it does get a little complicated, because duty can come from love, but love doesn't always come from duty. So this is what I want to help you with, figuring out exactly what's going on so you can move through it. So the first thing you need to look at is that duty is it's almost a restriction. It's a doing it because I have to. It's I'm bound to do this. And a really good friend of mine pointed out that it's almost like being dutiful to go to war, being dutiful to be a soldier. And it's this inherent belief that we seem to carry through into our daily lives as women. It's our duty to look after the family. It's our duty to maintain the house. It's our duty to maybe play with our kids, depending on who you are. I don't believe in shame and guilt in any way, shape or form. So if that is not something you love to do, then it has become a duty. And this is where we really need to unravel it. And the first step to do that is to look at the fear. Look at our inner princess and go, where is my fear presenting when it comes to this duty? If I don't carry out my duty, my obligation, my responsibility in relation to this particular thing, what am I fearful is going to happen? And we all have that underlying fear. It's not something that is just one of us is going to get it. We all have that. And I have no doubt that that fear comes back to being seen and heard. So within this obligation, this duty, is there a fear that you will not be seen and heard for what you actually want? Once you've addressed this fear, you get to move into the next part, which is stage of self number 2, our mother goddess, and forgiveness. You need to forgive yourself for having this fear. There is nothing wrong with having that fear. That fear is justified and valid because it comes back to an inner need, the need to be seen and heard. So do not shame and guilt yourself for feeling this way, for having this need and wanting this need to be met. Once you can forgive yourself for that, you can move through to your third stage of self, which is your wild woman and self-belief. And this is where you get to that point where you go, okay, I've seen the fear. I get it. I'm fearful. Oh, excuse me. I'm fearful this is going to happen. Then you've gone, okay, I can forgive myself for the fact I have this fear. There's nothing wrong with me for having this fear. And then you can move into self-belief and go, you know what? I'm going to be okay if I choose different. I am going to be okay. I am safe if I say no to this duty, this obligation, this responsibility, and choose myself instead. From there, you get to move into our dark queen, our intuition, and our fourth stage of self, which is seeing the higher possibilities. So if you said no to this duty, this responsibility, this obligation, because it doesn't serve you, it doesn't light you up and make you feel good, what is the highest possibility that could come out of that? What is the best possible future outcome? And maybe it's you feel freaking amazing. You are in the flow of love, self-love. You are doing things because they make you feel good, because you feel good. And from that, you have this overflow of energy to then put in to looking out for others. An overflow of energy to put in to those responsibilities. And then you get to move into your final stage of self, my favorite, the sorceress. And this is where we start setting the steps. If you've unraveled all this, what are you going to do next? Are you going to let the cycle play out over and over again, or are you going to set very grounded steps so it doesn't happen again? Now, what I've learned is the steps for me became a very simple question of, is this duty? Am I taking this action right now? Am I doing this thing because I feel responsible for it? Because I feel obligated that I have to? Or am I doing it because I desire the outcome? Because this outcome that I'm going to get is going to bring me pleasure because I want to do this. And when I flipped that and started looking at everything in my life, I realized just how often I had been running under the conditioning of duty rather than love. So this is what I want to challenge you with as well for the next week. Look at that within your own life. Where are you operating out of duty rather than love? Work your way through your stages of self until you can stand tall and proud and go, no, I am choosing different. I am choosing love. I love it. It's such a juicy one. And the more I dive into it and the more I talk to people about it, the more I can see just how much this conditioning lies underneath every facet of our life. Now, next week, actually, what was I going to say? Oh, yes. If you need help understanding and moving through your own stages of self, you can view the free Stages of Self online course at MellyS.com.au, which has just been released, and there is much, much more coming for that. I am deliberately releasing it for free because I do not believe this is something that should be hidden behind a paywall. I truly believe that Stages of Self is meant to be gifted to everybody, and that when women are taking the self-responsibility, finding their own self-empowerment, ending their own cycles of disempowerment in the process, everything changes for the better for both men and women. So if you are interested in that, make sure you go to MellyS.com.au to access that free course. And next week, I am going to talk about depression and the emotional crux you need to know. Because depression is something that is it's something very close to my heart, and it's something I've dealt with for a long time in my life. And when I finally saw the truth under it, I was able to end my cycles of depression permanently. So next week is going to be a really, really awesome chat as well. So until then, love and kindness, everyone. And if you have a question that you would like me to talk about on the Ask Melly segment, make sure you send me a message, plop a comment below here, and we will bring that to you next week. Love and kindness, everyone. Mwah.